Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching. I'm Courtney, owner and designer of Wreath in Hand. Today we are making a Happy Easter bunny pancake wreath. That's a thin wreath that can go between a storm door. I've gone ahead and already wired my 14-inch frame. I added 12 ties to it. And for the mesh, I'm going to be using 4 different colors, and I'm going to be cutting 3 pieces of each color at 20 inches. Now that we have the mesh cut, I'm going to go ahead and add it into the frame. It's important that when you make the pancake wreaths that you follow the right steps. So for this one, for the pancake wreaths, you have to do the bottom layer first before you can add the mesh onto the top layer so that it maintains its thinness. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the bottom mesh, and then I guess we'll cut the ribbon tails since I forgot to do that. I also just color coded it just so I could just see where each one's gonna go. I mean, you don't have to do that. And yes, I ran out of a third pink, so I'm gonna use this color, and it doesn't matter, you're not gonna see it. When you're adding the mesh into the frame, I don't untwist it from the frame, I just put it right on top. And then when you add it in, you're going to overlap the top and the bottom over each other so it kind of makes like a flower. Next, we're going to go ahead and cut our ribbon tails. These are the ribbons that I'm using. I'm going to be cutting only 11 pieces because I don't want to cover up the spot where the bow is going to go with a ribbon tail. It'll just get covered up. So I'm going to cut 11 pieces. So one of them will be less than the other. I'll probably do more of this one, and then I'm going to cut them at 12 inches. Now that we got all of our ribbon tails cut, actually I ended up having to switch it because I only had enough of this ribbon for 5, so I don't have enough for the bow, but whatever. I ended up making a wreath last year or a year before, I don't even remember, but I ended up redoing it. I took it apart and I thought I saved the ribbon, but I can't find it, so I just had to use what I had. But anyways, I'm layering the ribbon on top, and I'm gonna start here. I like to untwist it from the, like, I don't like to pile up the ribbon on top of the tied off chenille stem. I like everything on the same layer, so I'm gonna give it a good twist. And I am now done with these chenille stems, so I'm gonna cut these ones off. And then I'm just going to take the nub and put it to the back. And for this one, I don't want to cover up the bunnies, so I'm going to spread them. And I'm going to alternate the ribbon tails. So that's what it should look like. I'm going to add the rest to the bottom, and then we'll move on to the top layer. Now that I've finished adding the ribbon to the bottom layer of the wreath, I'm going to go ahead and add the mesh onto the top layer. I finished adding the top layer of mesh. We're going to add the remaining ribbon. But before I did that, I wanted to pre-lay out my sign just to make sure that, like, which way I was going to have it laid out because I like a more symmetrical looking wreath. So I have 2 ties here and then 2 ties up here and 2 ties down here. So I did leave a spot with no ribbon right there. So we're gonna go ahead and add the remaining ribbon. Okay, so I finished adding the ribbon and I actually made a little whoopsie. On the bottom, you're not gonna leave a spot for the bow. So on the bottom, you're gonna add the 6 ribbon tails on top of the 6 pieces of mesh. And then on the top, you're only gonna do the 5. So this is a spot where the bow will go. So there's 5 ribbon tails on top and then 6 ribbon tails on the bottom. Whoopsie. Let's go ahead and add our sign. Okay, I'm actually kind of debating if I want to add a piece of mesh to the middle. Just because I know the bow is going to go there, but I feel like I could just add an extra piece right there and it will help leave any open spots. I have a bunch of mesh left over, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and add a cross frame in here. Ow! And then I'll go ahead and add the sign after. All right, I added the middle piece. So I just added it kind of right where I thought it would be like enough to cover it. So that's what the back looks like. I mean, I guess you probably could have extended it to here, but I mean, whatever, it's fine. So now there's not going to be a big giant hole right there, and one extra piece of mesh is not going to break the bank on this wreath, okay? So I'm going to add, I think I'm just going to do 2 points of contact on here. So one right here and one right here. We're going to move on to making our bow. The first ribbon we're using is this purple or lavender 2.5 inch, and I'm going to dovetail it. I'm going to measure out a 8-inch tail. If you need help making bows, I recommend a bow maker. This is the one that I use. It's the Easy Bow Maker. I have it linked down below for you. It definitely helped me to make bows. I have issues with my hands, so making bows by hand is just not for me. I'm going to measure out a 5.5-inch loop, one on each side, and then I'm going to make another 8-inch tail on the other side and dovetail that one as well. The next ribbon is this 1.5-inch ribbon. For this one, I'm going to make it a 5-inch loop, one on each side, and I'm also going to do an 8-inch tail as well. The next ribbon I'm using is this yellow 1.5-inch ribbon, and I'm going to be doing a 4.5-inch loop, one on each side, and an 8-inch tail. The next ribbon we're using is this 1-inch Ferris silk ribbon, and I'm going to be doing a 4-inch loop on each side, and I'm going to add a center loop as well.